and welcome to this special interview on Indian Knowledge System organized by Vigyan Parishad Goa in association with Prudent Media. Indian Knowledge System IKS is an innovative cell under Ministry of Education established to promote interdisciplinary research, preserve and disseminate IKS for further research and societal application to propagate the rich national heritage and traditional knowledge. I am in conversation with a Sanskrit scholar from Odisha, Dr. Sampadanand Mishra, Professor, Rashtram School of Public Leadership, Rishihood University, Sonipat. Welcome, Dr. Mishra. As you all know, Sanskrit is the oldest living language and endure evidence to the intellectual past of ancient India. Let us know from our guest today the scientific nature of Sanskrit. I would like to begin by asking the question, what is your take on Indian knowledge system and how does it differ from Indian knowledge tradition?
Dhanyavad, Dr. Reshmaji, for having this conversation with me. It's a very valid question that today we need to understand what exactly is the Indian knowledge system and then how is it different from the Indian knowledge tradition. So whatever is there in our tradition, the knowledge which is transferred generations after generations, which has been systematized in our texts, which has been put forth in the form of a system, is the Indian knowledge system. And it is necessary that today, looking at our education system, looking at the way things are happening in our country, the way humanity is facing the challenges in life, so Indian knowledge system has solution to many problems that the humanity keeps facing. Therefore, it is necessary, especially for Bharat, to recover this spiritual wisdom which is hidden, the spiritual knowledge which is there in the whole knowledge system and the tradition, and then based on this knowledge system, we recreate new forms of literature, new forms of architecture, new forms of religion, new forms of anything that we would like to create in whichever branch of knowledge, music, dance, architecture, and various other realms. And for that, we need to understand what is there in the tradition and then how it has been preserved and then given to us. So this is what I would submit as a response to your first question.
Yeah. Dr. Mishra, Sanskrit, as we know, is a very old language which has not thrived. How do you think we can popularize Sanskrit in today's generation?
Yes, so it is not just old language, it is one of the oldest languages. There are many other primitive languages or oldest languages like Tamil, Lithuanian, Greek, Latin, and many other oldest languages, old languages which are there in the whole world. Sanskrit, see, every language in its journey, in its growth, in its development, has lost something, has preserved something. So whereas Sanskrit has preserved the rich knowledge system in the form of record, like we have the earliest literary record, the record of the realizations of the rishis of the past in the Vedas, in the Upanishads. But Sanskrit somewhere has lost its spoken form. So say for example Tamil, though it has a great knowledge system, but compared to Sanskrit it is not that great as per the record quantitatively. But Tamil, the beauty of Tamil language is that it has preserved its own spoken form till date. So because of Sanskrit, this loss of its spoken form So it has distanced from the life of people. So for the revival of Sanskrit, it is very much necessary that we bring it back to life. And to bring it back to life, to bring it back to our education system. See, from our education system, we have completely distanced our children from the real Sanskriti of ours and real languages of ours. So why Sanskrit? Even all the Indian languages also are not given that much importance in Indian schools. So Sanskrit to a great extent lives through all the regional languages. We have 60 to 70% of Sanskrit words which are used in every regional language. So when we say the revival of Sanskrit, so it also means to me revival of all the regional languages of Bharat. So every school must give importance to, in our education system. I think the new education policy which is drafted has all these freedom. It provides this freedom, and it provides us that strength to do also. That along with every regional language, because the primary education has to be through the regional languages, which is must for the Indian situation. And when regional languages are given importance and compulsorily every subject is taught through regional languages, it will definitely bring a very different ecosystem here. And along with that, if we can add little bit of Sanskrit to the regional languages, say for example, if we say 100 marks of regional language as a language subject, say Tamil as a language, or Odia as a language, or Bengali as a language. So along with that, if we can give 20 to 30 marks of Sanskrit along with that, so that way the children studying the regional languages will be able to trace back the history of the language, and then they will be able to link their own language with Sanskrit. And then Sanskrit has immense potentiality to help every regional language in its journey, in its growth. But it has a very transparent system of root sounds. It has a very transparent system of creating new words. It can create many new words and supply to other regional languages for day-to-day use. And there are various ways of bringing Sanskrit to our life back. But it has to be brought, and it's the need of the time that Sanskrit comes back to our life, to the life of every Indian, because that's the identity of every Indian, the true Indianness, in order to understand what Indianness is. So Sanskrit is must.
That's very true, yeah. I would like to mention here that Dr. Mishra has founded Sanskrit Bala Sahitya Parishad, which is a children's literature in Sanskrit, and he has very recently launched a monthly e-magazine for children in Sanskrit called Saptavarna. How do you think we can create interest about Sanskrit among the young children?
Okay. So, as a part of the revival of Sanskrit or Sanskrit movement to bring back Sanskrit to education, to life, so whatever I have been doing for last 3 decades almost, so my attempt is to bring Sanskrit first to the children of India. And my grand vision is to bring Sanskrit to every child of India, to every school. So for that, I have been working on creating new types of curriculum, new types of literature. Say there are many people, many organizations which are working towards creating curriculum or writing textbooks for learning Sanskrit, to facilitate learning Sanskrit. But what is lacking is there is a great dearth of qualitative children's literature in Sanskrit. So keeping that in the mind, so in 2014 I established the Sanskrit Bala Sahitya Parishad, so which has become a kind of national movement, one can say. So the purpose was to bring out qualitative children's literature in Sanskrit. When we say qualitative children's literature in Sanskrit, so it doesn't mean that it's just some content which is good for children, but it follows all the principles of creating children's literature. So the printing has to be very qualitative. The artwork has to be conducive to the content and the children mindset. The child psychology has to be taken care of. Various kinds of children's literature which are to be created. So then the children fall in love with that, and it is through this literature that we need to bring back the whole value system, the whole sanskara, that they learn many things. It's not just some values of do's and don'ts, but the real values of how they can be empowered inwardly. They understand themselves, they understand the world, they understand many things which are around them. So all these things can become the part of the children's literature. So for example, like how different animals greet each other. So what is the significance of greetings? So greetings each other is a very natural part of every being which is born in on this planet. So even animals, insects, birds, they have their own way of greeting each other. So when two goats meet, how do they greet each other? When two buffaloes meet, how do they greet each other? So when two ants meet, how do they greet each other? So when two human beings meet, and human beings in different countries, different nations, what are the different greetings? That can become an interesting topic for children's literature, and which, if well illustrated and well presented, the children will learn so many things from this. So creating qualitative children's literature in Sanskrit is again a need of the hour, and keeping that in mind, I created this Samskrita Bala Sahitya Parishad. I created national conferences, seminars and symposiums on this, and then I created many qualitative children's literature in Sanskrit. Recently, Sahitya Academy, so one of the premier organizations of Government of India, which has brought out 100 stories for children, which is compiled and edited by me. So even National Book Trust of India also is bringing out 30 books for children. So of course they are translated from various other languages which they have published. But I'm today happy, and I'm happy to say also that this vision of mine, this work which I started in 2014 to give a shape to the children's literature, this whole movement for creating new qualitative children's literature is gaining more respect, and it is creating a different kind of movement among the people. More and more people who are coming forward to write children's literature. More and more publishers are coming forward and showing interest in publishing children's literature in Sanskrit. More and more artists are coming forward to help creating children's literature in Sanskrit. And one more thing which needs to be done for children's literature in Sanskrit is that there is again lack of the proper criticism. So we need to create even guidelines for the samiksha, for the review, for the critics in criticism for children's literature in Sanskrit. But there is a lot of movement which has started, and whatever way I play my role in bringing this to the forefront and helping children, I will keep doing that. And in the context of that, last August I launched this Saptavarna magazine for the children, which is one of its kind, and which is the one and only e-magazine for children in Sanskrit. It is very well responded with lots of innovative content. We come out every month, and it's the part of an application called Language Curry. And the Language Curry application has now more than 1 million learners in 180 countries are learning Sanskrit through this application. and Saptavarna magazine needs to be propagated more, and through this medium I would also like to request many viewers who are viewing this and many people who are interested in learning Sanskrit to download our language curry application and subscribe to Saptavarna magazine.
Yeah, I'm sure this effort of yours will definitely reach many children in this country, and many of them would like to take this subject very seriously. Coming towards the youth, do you think Sanskrit can be a vehicle for personality development?
Yes, so this is again a very good question by you, Dr. Reshmaji. So Sanskrit is such a language, it is so well designed, and when we look at every aspect of it, whether it's a word or whether it is a sentence formation, whether it is creating some good content through this language, so it's because of a very high highly structured language. Sanskrit helps immensely in our inner growth. Say for example, like Sanskrit is a very highly rhythmic language, and it's almost like music. Listening to Sanskrit or reading Sanskrit or reciting Sanskrit is almost it's all music, you can say. So, and this rhythmic value of Sanskrit helps immensely in developing our memory power. It helps immensely in creating harmonious movements within us, putting everything in order, putting everything in place. And how does it when we talk about personality development, what are the things that we need to develop? So say suppose my emotions, my thoughts, are they well organized? So Sanskrit being a very well organized language, so when someone uses it, learns it and uses it consciously, it forces to become organized. It helps in different ways to organize our thoughts, to instill, even because of its logical nature, logical structure. It also helps developing the scientific spirit and the scientific temperament in anyone who is learning it consciously. So in many ways, like it instills values, it instills scientific temperament, it instills what is called the original thinking, the original thought power. It brings refinement to our emotions. It brings lots of clarity to our understanding. It brings lots of healing to the physical consciousness. So it is almost like a healing language. So it can be utilized for various purposes, and especially when it is used consciously, and when the youth of India turns to Sanskrit in a systematic manner and accepts it and uses it as its own language, so it definitely has a lot of impact in shaping its personality and then helping the youth of India to move forward in life with certitude.
Dr. Mishra tries in different ways to take this language to each and every individual in this country. In this process, he has started first ever 24-hour radio channel, which is called Divya Vani, in 2013, and he is managing it single-handedly since then. Dr. Mishra, do you think Sanskrit language has does it have effect on life of an individual, or can we enrich our life using this language?
Yes, so that's what little bit I mentioned as a response to your previous question. And to continue with that, Sanskrit being a mantric language, because the purity of the vibration of its sounds has a direct impact on our consciousness, on the human consciousness. It has a direct impact on our body, on our life, on our mind. And this is how it facilitates the right growth, and it really transforms, being a transformative language because of its purity, because of its rhythmic value, because of its logical nature. So it has tremendous potentiality to elevate the human consciousness to a higher level, and this is how it directly impacts the human life and brings lots of transformation in its growth, in its evolution. So how it happens, it needs a lot of time to explain, but fundamentally, because of its rhythmic nature, because of its logical structure, because of its systematic and scientific organization at the phonetic level, at the syntax level, at the semantic level, because of a very transparent system of root sounds and root experiences, and because of the wealth of spiritual knowledge which is treasured in this language, which keeps inspiring at every moment anyone who comes in contact with this language and with this literature. So it has a direct impact, it also has a direct transformative power, and it keeps inspiring and enriching to anyone who falls in love with this language and keeps learning it consciously.
Okay, if I want to learn Sanskrit, what are the resources available, any material available, e-resources or any reading material available which we can introduce in the school?
Yes, that's a good question. Like when people take interest in Sanskrit, they also should know what are the materials available. So how can they learn the language? There are many organizations, there are many individuals who are engaged, who are constantly creating a lot of resources and then putting it on the internet. So one can go to the internet and see a lot of YouTube videos providing Sanskrit lessons. One finds many applications. So coming back to the resource materials which I have been instrumental in creating, one material which I would recommend to everyone is the application called Language Curry. So this Language Curry application not only teaches Sanskrit, but it teaches other Indian languages also, because this is the same vision. Again, Sanskrit should not be taught in isolation. It has to be taught always in connection with the Indian languages. So Language Curry application teaches Sanskrit through other Indian languages. We are also planning to create materials by which any Indian language can be learned through any Indian language. So that is one source material which one can use for listening to Sanskrit, because more one listens, more one gets into the pattern, more one gets into the vocabularies, more one gets into the spirit of the language. So for that, as you had mentioned, my initiative of Divyavani Sanskrit Radio. So one can just type it in Google, Divyavani Sanskrit Radio, and it's available on various platforms. One can just click and listen to varieties of content 24/7 in Sanskrit. I also have been working on creating new types of textbooks for Sanskrit. So Deva Bhasha curriculum. So for that one can visit to devabhasha.in, devabhasha.in. So to get details about this these textbooks which are created to teach Sanskrit from play school to class 8, many innovative contents. And I also mentioned about the Saptavarna magazine, which publishes lots of rich content, innovative content suitable for children. And when we say children, this magazine or this these textbooks called Deva Bhasha So when we say children, we also mean the beginners. So anyone who is a beginner in any language is to be treated like a child. So from my side, these are the materials which we have created to facilitate learning Sanskrit in an innovative manner where one just falls in love with the language.
Thank you, Dr. Mishra. It has been a very enriching experience to hear the pulse of wisdom from our resource person today. And Dr. Sampadanand Mishra has taken us on a scenic journey of this ancient Indian language, Sanskrit. We leave this place enlightened about the language Sanskrit. Thank you.